No, it says sending. It says sending. Okay. I hope it's going. Okay, it says streaming. Okay, sorry y'all. I forgot to click on a channel. So my bad. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So yeah, so I've gotten my house in a certain order. Like my husband and my children, they're used to home cooked meals 2, sometimes 3 times a day. Okay, they're used to a clean bathroom, clean kitchen. Like I spoil them. I'm not gonna lie. And that's only because I want my sons to um. Am I right now? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Check 1, 2. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Um, what was I saying? Okay. So I want them to have a certain standard of living, right? I want my sons to have a certain standard of living. And I also want them to pick wives who will continue in this certain standard of living. So I try very hard to keep things a certain way in my home. I change the bed sheets every week. We get different towels and washcloths every day. Laundry's done every day. Our home is just kept at a certain standard. But with me having to give attention to other things, like I have not been able to pay as much attention to my home. And I'm not gonna lie, it was very overwhelming. It was very overwhelming. So I kind of let the house go by the wayside, right? Because at this point, the focus was getting the orders done, and getting it out on time so the customer can be happy, right? When you run your own business, when you're partly responsible for your own income, then yeah, that's the priority. Just like you don't stay home from work to clean your house, you go to work. So I had to work. And my house was suffering. But what really got me was how much my kids noticed. Even my 5-year-old. Like, he got in the shower one day and he was like, "Mom, are you gonna clean up in here one day? Because this is not right." And I'm like, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" And he's 5. And you would think that you feel like kids don't care about cleanliness, of course, because they don't clean up behind themselves. So no, these kids don't care. No, my kid called me out. Like, "Mom, what's up with the house? What's up with the laundry?" Like, my sons have noticed, okay, that things are not in order. Things are not the way that we have been taught is right. Okay. And it just really is eye-opening to me about how much kids are watching us, how much of a guide we are. And I'm gonna, address this to the moms because that's what I'm talking to, the moms. Um, but how much of a guide we are, even in the running of our household. Um, Again, yes, the man is the head, right? And he runs everything. But if you've ever worked in a doctor's office, then you understand how much of that is delegation. Um, the doctor oftentimes will tell the nurse, "Okay, do this, okay, do that." Yeah, he's the one that sees and communicates with the patients, but it's the nurse and the staff that follow through on the directions and, relay any information and stuff like that. Same thing in your household. Um, it is a lot of delegation while your husband is out communicating, getting the stuff done, bringing the money in. Yes, you're delegated the rest of the stuff. And so it may not seem like much because, oh, I'm not the head, I'm not the one in charge. But ma'am, sis cousin, like, to those kids, you're everything. When it comes to the running of that house, you're everything. When it comes to your husband's comfort and well-being, you are everything. Like, my husband didn't know that he would enjoy some of the things that he enjoys now so much. Um, when it comes to our home, just some of the little niceties, some of the little extra steps that I take to take care of my home. Um, like, initially and talking to him about it, it'd be like, "No, why you gotta do that? That's crazy. I've never had that and I've been fine." But once you get it, or once it's been implemented and then that thing is not there, it's like, hold on, wait a second, this is not right. Um, So it's important for us as the mothers, right, to keep our home in order. Um, Not just because your children are looking at you. Yes, we're to train them up in the way they should go, right? And that pertains to every area of their life. So not only are your children looking at you, but is your husband is counting on you. And I know what you might be thinking, like, oh, my husband ghetto, he don't care about that kind of stuff. He doesn't know that he cares about it because he's never had it. Like someone who's maybe not used to such okay, take somebody who's not used to getting a home cooked dinner. It ain't even gotta be every day. Let's say 4 or 5 times a week, okay? If you put this person in a situation where now they're getting home cooked meals and you try to take them back, they're gonna notice a difference. Like, hold on, this is not what I'm used to. You done got me used to eating this way. I like this. This is what I want to keep doing. Same thing with your husband. He may not realize, how much better those higher thread count sheets feel. But when you buy them and he sleeps on them, then the compliments start rolling in, okay? And it just helps with the all around mood, um, and I'm gonna say mental and emotional health of your family. I don't know about you, but it was rough for me not having things where I'm used to them being. It's rough for me going to my drawers and my clothes aren't there. It's rough for me going to my linen closet and the towels and the washcloths aren't there for me. It's like almost like a trigger. I don't want to say a trigger because no, it is almost it's like a trigger to me. It like triggers my frustration because I'm like, why isn't this stuff done? And then I realize that I'm the one that's supposed to be doing it. That kind of thing. Um, but I think we just get so caught up in maybe ourselves and maybe everything else that we've got going on that we don't realize as mothers, as wives, and as women how much we actually set the tone for our home and how much us keeping things in order, how much our family relies on that. Again, not just so much for physical health, like sure, they're not starving or anything, but again, mental health, emotional health, and just feeling good, you know, feeling good about yourself. Okay. Uh, Shout out to Two Chains. I just read that Trappy the dog has passed. I don't know if y'all have ever lost a dog that you love, but it was kind of devastating. And I'm not gonna lie, like before it happened to me, I would be one of them people that be like, okay, it's just a dog. But no, like when we lost Pepper, I cried and that really hit me. And I didn't think it was going to, okay, but it did. So shout out to Two Chains. Oh, and he had that dog for 10 years, y'all. 10 years. That's a long time. We didn't have Pepper for that long. We had Pepper for like 4 years, 3 or 4 years. That was my boo though. So I know what that loss is like. It's not a good one. All right. Okay. So our main topic. Let's get into it. Now I want to talk to y'all. Uh I don't really have a what's going on in Babylon segment. I just wanted to do that, talk about what I talked about earlier. So okay, putting the self back in self-love. And what made me go to this was because in this discourse of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, self-love and acceptance and black women and the list goes on. Um One of the things that I've noticed, right, is how many people keep saying oh, you tell us to love ourselves, but then you get on social media and call us fat, or then you get on social media and call us ugly, or you get on social media and say this and say that. And what occurs to me in these posts, what sticks out to me the most is the fact that even in trying to claim a little bit of self-love, we are still relaying we're still communicating our reliance on the media and on others around us to fulfill something that we call self-love. Okay. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? Um, Now I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna just keep it funky like I always try to do here. By the way, like, share, subscribe if you're on the YouTube, whichever YouTube you're on, at Miss Mono's World, at Monologue McGad. Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. You can follow me at Miss Mono's World on all the socials, all of them. Well, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not really on Twitter. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, definitely at Miss Mono's World. All right. So yeah. So even in our communication, right, of trying to claim our self-love, we are still letting others know that, hey, it's not really self-love. I need you to love me in order to love myself. Because if that wasn't the case, then it wouldn't matter what social media says. It wouldn't matter. Public opinion wouldn't matter. All right. And now I'm gonna keep it funky with you. A lot of our problems, our issues that lead to the lack of self-love is because we don't love the Lord like we should. And I know nobody likes to hear that. I know nobody wants to hear that. We don't love the most high as we should. And I feel as when we don't do that, what how could you possibly love yourself? You, in my personal opinion, and in what life has taught me, you cannot begin to know yourself, to reflect on yourself. You cannot begin to grow yourself until you accept the laws of the Most High, the faith in His Son, and you decide to walk that out. We've heard this numerous times. um and I hate to say, but like, even in a church, we don't really understand what it means to love ourselves. We don't, and I don't think there's any other way to say that, to dance around that. If you don't love the Most High, you you can't love yourself. A baby. I read that a baby's first words are usually dada. And they've said it for different reasons, but I read this one reason and it made sense to me. Um, a baby's first word is usually in reference to their other parent, their father, because they see their mothers as an extension of them. So there's no need to really learn how to say your name because you're always here, right? Um, and so that baby is attached to his mother. That baby sees his mother as his self, but it also knows, okay, this person takes care of me, this person feeds me, this person makes me feel better when I'm sad. Okay. This is how they, start to understand love and bond and connection, right? But what we do is we, for some reason, refuse to accept. I want to. We refuse to accept all of ourselves, right? Um, I feel like a lot of times where we fail is we try to build up these public personas. If you notice, everybody comes into the fame game, the social media game, with an alter ego, if you will. Okay. We can talk about me. My real name is not Miss Mono. I call myself Miss Mono so that people will readily identify me as my husband's wife, right? Um, because that's what my ministry is. I feel like that's what my purpose is right now, to relay, the message of being a good wife, loving your husband, taking care of your children, being chaste, discreet, all the things that it tells us in Titus 2. So this is why my name is what it is, right? But so you have other people out here who make up these names. You have rappers who make up names, and even the women. And it mostly, I'm gonna tell you, even from my personal experience, um, this really comes when you're talking about sex workers. they will often don on another name, take on an alter ego or a nickname in order to kind of separate themselves from themselves. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like this is something we need to talk about because I think a lot more of us do it than we're ready to admit, right? Because when you see Peaches on the stage, when they call Peaches to the stage, they're not calling Amy or whatever your real name is. They don't want Amy because Amy has common sense. Amy's not going to come up here and get naked, for all these men. Amy is going to be a little more restrictive and conservative. But Peaches, on the other hand, no, they want Peaches to come out, make a clap, shake it, don't stop. Okay. Amy, in and of herself, cannot work up the gumption, cannot work up the nerve, cannot quiet her conscience enough to go out there and do the things that Peaches needs to do to make the money for Amy to pay the rent. All right. So what does Amy do? She drugs herself. She drinks herself. She numbs herself to the reality of what's going on. So much so that she doesn't even want you to call her by her real name because you're going to take her out of character, right? And so, but what we sometimes forget is that even though Amy is now calling herself Peaches, that's still Amy's body. Okay. So everything that Peaches encounters, every man that touches her that she doesn't necessarily want to be touched by, every violation, every intrusion, be it verbal or physical, this stuff is affecting Amy. Okay. And I'm bringing this up because what we see a lot with these influencers is they're setting these trends that us on the other side of the camera is falling for, right? And I can't even say just young girls. It's women my age, 40s and 50s and 60s that are still falling for this stuff, right? And so when you have a woman who decides to make a living off of her body, I'm gonna tell you right now, as a woman who used to make a living off of her body, it is a hard task mentally because you are often coerced, forced, whatever your situation is, into doing things that you in your regular self would not do. Okay. Like if I would have went to medical school and been a doctor, I would have never been in that situation. Okay. Let's take Peaches, for example. Okay. If Amy would have went to school and been a doctor, she'd have never been in this situation. So there are just certain things that would have never even been considered. Like you don't have to, I'm not gonna say you don't have to, okay? But when your income is not based on the shape of your body, the curves of your body, the flatness of your stomach, the how big your butt is, now you are not like plastic surgery, you can turn that down. It's not now a matter of to you life or death. And I'm saying to you life or death because we need to eat. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to eat. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like, oh, money is not that important. Ma'am, sis, cousin, I will never say that money is not that important. Even the Bible tells us that money answers all things. You can't eat, you ain't got you can't even live in your heck. You need money to get a car, even if, you know what I'm saying? Like you need money for everything. So I'm not gonna say that it's not important. But what I will say is the way that you choose to make that money has a consequence on the other areas of your life. And just, you know what I mean? Think about it. Take a second. Um, a person with a regular 9 to 5, they live that life. They get up in the morning, they go to work, they come home, they take care of their family, they go to bed. Someone who's on the other side of the law, maybe lives a totally different life. You understand what I'm saying? Let's get back to the self-love issue. I don't know how I got off on that. But when it comes to self love, we can, it is a complicated issue. And I have to admit, at the start of our lives, right? It's not necessarily self love. When we're little, we don't understand self love. We just understand how the people around us treat us and or make us feel. Like my boys, I don't feel I don't they're not at that age, you know what I mean, where they self-love and acceptance and all that. They feel loved, they feel accepted. They're here with their family, they're with their siblings. There's no one around to bully them, to ostracize them, to make them feel like, oh, something is wrong with them. Okay. And now, so contrast it to someone like me who grew up without that validation, without being told, "Oh, you're okay just the way you are. I love you just the way you are. You're awesome just the way you are." Okay? That's so a person who has that growing up, of course they're going to have a head start when it comes to self-love. They've been affirmed from the beginning of their life. They've been validated from the beginning of their life, and I'm not going to sit here and act like that validation doesn't need to come from a man, cuz I'm going to say it does. A girl needs validation from her father. That's just the way it works. I don't, you know what I'm saying? That's another, we got to realize that there's a reason why there's supposed to be a mom and a dad. The mom fills certain offices and the dad fills certain offices. That's why you'll have like a president and a vice president. Sure, this person takes care of that, but then there's a whole other opposite that needs to be taken care of, and you need this other person to do it. And so when you are put out into a world, and I appreciate not having social media when I was a teenager. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of appreciate that because I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine. Um, so when you're put out into this world to kind of figure it out yourself, and I know nobody wants to talk about this. Um, we come from broken homes. All right, we come from broken homes. We come from stressed out single moms, even if we didn't realize how stressed out they were back then. Think about how you feel now, okay? We come from stressed out single moms, and we're a generation of latchkey kids who, for the most part, relied on TV to entertain us in those hours when we were waiting for our parents to either one come home from work or time for us to go to bed. Okay. So what you don't have is you don't have a lot of people a lot of parents who have that time and that energy to nurture and to feed that part of their child. Well, how can you say that? Look at the whoredom problem among us. Do you think that a lot of these girls that are out here showing themselves and being all loud and just very flamboyant and boisterous, do you really think that all of them want to be that way? I know for a fact that they don't. I know for a fact that they don't. But when you've been shown this, and this is when you've been shown these kind of people, and these are the kind of people that get all the attention, your natural thought process is, "Oh, in order for me to get attention, this is what I need to do." Again, because you were not told anything else, all right? Um, you were not taught that it's okay to go in a room and be quiet. You weren't taught the importance of your body, how to value yourself, even if someone isn't. Here's the thing, okay? A lot of the times we feel like we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough because there's not someone there telling us that we're pretty enough or telling us that we're good enough. And so here's where, you know, that self-love has to come in. But if you never received it, where are you going to get it from? Where are you going to get that reassurance? Where are you going to get the validation? Where do you go when you need to feel when you need to feel like you're okay? If you don't have that relationship with the most high, I don't know. I don't feel like there's any way you can fill that self-love void if you don't love God first. Because what else is going to affirm you and also give you a guide to continue living your life in a manner that is loving to yourself? And you may be saying, like, well, what does keeping God's law have to do with self love? The Most High is never going to have you doing anything that's a detriment to yourself, even to the point where we don't eat shellfish. We don't eat the roaches of the ocean. Why? Because that's bad for you. And my father said, I'm too good for that. If you get into the Bible, you'll understand that he gave other things to other peoples, but he reserved the best for his children. And if you can't come into the knowledge that you're a child of his, and this is the best in the world, and this was God's intention for you. If you never come into that, where do you go to feel like you're good enough? Okay. You can't turn to social media because that's the flavor of the month club. All right. Uh, this week, everybody's rocking medium knotless waist length or butt length braids. Next week, it's gonna be Bantu knots. You know what I'm saying? Something always changes. So while you may be fly today, there's no guarantee that you're gonna be fly next week. Y'all see how fast things change in this world. Like we just upgraded our cell phones a few weeks ago, and the lady was like, "Oh yeah, so you have a new phone till September?" What? Like only a few months, and then my phone is gonna start being considered old. But when you look to the world for your confirmation and validation, it will constantly have you changing things. This is where we get the consumer culture that we live in from. You're not good enough unless you own this. You're not good enough unless you own that. Oh, you can't be this type of person if you don't have this. And now don't get me wrong, I'm a shopper. Okay. Your girl can shop. But I don't base how I feel about myself as a person, as a whole person. I don't base how I feel about myself as a whole person around my shopping and what I can buy, what I can. That doesn't affect how I feel about myself. On the other hand, you have some people who is that is the very definition of themselves. Okay. I'm talking about some deep materialism. I mean, to the point where they will go into debt just so their underwear can say La Perla. And that is ridiculous. When you think about it, materialism, labels, those kind of things, that I don't see that as a form of self-love. Now, I see shopping as a form of self-care. If that's what you can do and you can well afford it, then fine. But when you put on labels, like I hate wearing stuff with logos. I will never, you'll never see me in a logoed up shirt, like with all the little LVs and everything. I hate that because I feel like it's so just loud. I feel like it's very look at me, I have this. All right. Um, and so even with that, that's not self-love. That's you signaling to others why they should love you. We do a lot of that. We get dressed, we do our hair, we buy the lace fronts, we, lay the baby hairs down. In essence, we are kind of signaling to people, this is why you should love me. This is why you should accept me. Look at me. I have money. I have this. I live this kind of life. You need to feel just as good about yourself as a person, no matter what you have on. If you have on a $200 shirt, if you got on a $20 shirt, if it's a Gucci tee or a Hanes tee from Walmart, you need to feel the same about yourself. And I told y'all this before, but I'm gonna tell you again. After you like, share, subscribe, go ahead and hit the like button for me. When you start to get things, assets, let me say that, a house, some land, when you start to own things, you start to realize how silly it is to spend a lot of money on clothes and bags and things that are not assets at all. It becomes kind of like trivial because you realize that these clothes are only going to be good for a couple months, if that long, right? Because you're going to wash them, they're going to fade, you're not going to want to wear it anymore. But the house now, you know, the real property, when you love yourself enough, you will love yourself enough to know that I'm good enough no matter what I got on. You'll love yourself to know that, okay, yes, I would love to be able to afford that bag, that car. I would love to, but you know what? I'm gonna focus on my goal and all of that will come in time. Um, Paul talks about being content. He said, whether I had much or whether I had little, I was content. Whether I be abased or whether I be abound, I'm content. And a lot of us have not learned contentment. And I feel like this is another thing that keeps us from fully loving ourselves. Always constantly being told that you got to be on a hustle, got to be on a go, never feeling like you can just rest and relax and breathe. Like, just breathe for a day, enjoy that rent you paid and stay in the freaking house. Like, there's no there's no reason to be running like that unless you're running from something. Now, I'm not talking about being productive. Ma'am, sis, cousin, by all means, be productive, okay? But we all know people who put too much into their work in order to avoid their personal lives. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those of you who can't be without a TV on because you don't want to pray. You don't want to hear what the Lord has to say because you know you've been slipping lately. So to avoid that, you're always trying to find something to do, always trying to be going somewhere, always trying to have something going on, feeling like you running from God. You're not. And I would please, ma'am, sis, cousin, implore you to get in that quiet place, and open your ears and your eyes to what the Most High is saying. Because if He wants your attention, He's going to get your attention. And let me just tell you, okay, as a personal testimony, it is far, far better for you to give God your attention than for God to have to come and get your attention. Okay, because let me tell you something. When he comes to get you, it's like that alarm clock. It's like an ascending alarm clock. Like, it starts off quiet, boop, 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 a little quiet. You might hear a little whisper. Hey, I want to talk to you. Hey, I want to pray with you. Hey, I need you to come and talk to me. You might hear the little gnawing, like your spirit telling you need to pray. We need to pray. Your spirit telling you we need to get in the Bible. I need some word. I need to be fed. Stop ignoring that. All right, that's not your mind playing tricks on you. That's your spirit man crying out. Like, hey, I need some water. I need some food. I need something for myself. You're constantly feeding your flesh. I need something. Angelina, shalom and shalom, sis. It ain't hello, it ain't. It's not pretty at all. And you can't even be mad at God. You can't be mad because first of all, he chastens who he loves. Okay. So the fact that he's even coming after you, you should be thankful for that. Okay. Um, and so please heed my warning. Stop running. You cannot outrun the Lord. Let me just assure you. Okay. Um, so you avoid the quiet, you avoid rest because you don't want to self-reflect. You can never solve a problem if you're not willing to face it. You'll never admit it if you don't face it. If you don't sit and look at it and say, I have an issue with, I'm trying to pick something here. I have an issue with drinking too much Kool-Aid and it's causing me diabetes. That is so lame. Okay. But okay, I have a problem with alcohol, right? I drink too much. I have a problem with alcohol. Um, and it's starting to break down my body. Right? It's just I forgot where I was going with this. I hate it when I do that. Anyway, back to not avoiding. Oh, facing your problem. Okay. You have a problem with alcohol, right? You've been drinking for years. Finally, you go to the doctor for whatever reason, and the doctor's like, yo, something's up with your liver. Um, are you drinking? And you're gonna lie to the doctor. No, I don't drink. I have no idea what's wrong with my liver. So you might go on, but trust me, you keep drinking, not admitting that you have a problem, not facing your problem, even if you don't want to admit it to the doctor. Okay. When you get home, you still refuse to admit it to yourself. So you continue in the lifestyle that you're going in. And I'm telling you, one day it's gonna catch up to you. This happened to an uncle of mine. He was sick, he was a heavy drinker. He was sick. He knew he was sick, but he wouldn't tell anybody. He wouldn't get any help. He wouldn't do anything about it. And unfortunately, one day my aunt came home and found him passed out and he never recovered. He was like in a vegetative state for a few days. His body was shutting down, his interior his internal organs started shutting down, and like over the next few days, like literally 2 or 3 days, he passed. It's the consequences of your actions are coming. Even if you don't want to admit the action that caused the problem. All right? You can go out here and overdraft that bank account and have it in the negative if you want to, but baby, the fees are coming. Your next month's bills are coming. All right? The consequences of your actions will surely find you out. And it is up to you how severe those consequences are. The sooner you jump on the issue, the sooner you can deal with it. If you have to love yourself to say, I don't want to hurt myself. And a lot of us don't love ourselves enough to say that. We love the world and the things of this world so much that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for those things instead of saying, nah, let me preserve myself. I don't need that. We're so caught up in trying to get material things and trying to live this baller lifestyle and trying to stunt and show out and flex that we'll go out here and sleep with the man who we think has the biggest wallet instead of saying, I'm going to reject those things of the world. I'm going to enjoy what the Most High gave me. I don't know why we think that um being modest and chaste means that our life has to be boring. And we need to change our definition of boring is what I'm going to say. Because when you run in the streets and you know what I'm saying, you in the city and you know you dipping and doing and one and two, yes, a quiet life at home can seem boring. But if you've lived enough, and I hope and pray that y'all don't have to live it. That's why I get up here every week and I talk to y'all because I don't want you to have to live it enough. I want you to hear what I'm saying and be like, you know what? I don't even need to go through all that. Like I'm good. I can skip that part. That's what I want. Because let me tell you something. Like life will beat you up if you don't get it right. And it's not always a quick 1-2. Sometimes the consequences of those sins and those actions can follow you for the rest of your life, even if not physically, mentally, and emotionally. But see, you got to love yourself enough to say, I deserve better than that. I don't want that for me. I'm going to preserve myself. And with you constantly looking to the world for self-love, your concept of self-love, no. Listen, in the age of consumerism and capitalism, no person, no company, no brand, no other entity in this world wants you to love yourself more than you love it. Why are you saying that? Because of the ads, because of the constant um presentation of a standard of beauty that we have been saying for the last 50 years at least that the average American woman doesn't fit. They'll tell us constantly the average American woman is a size 14, but baby, that where are they? Those aren't the people we see. You those aren't the people that we used to see. Let me say this. Let me say that. I was in the Victoria's Secrets the other day. And it's so disheartening looking through the catalog because I remember when Victoria's Secrets was for women. It was for girls. It was for girls and women, people who wore bras and panties. But now it's not even just for women anymore. It's like for everybody. I don't like that. Like it's not the same. They don't care. The world does not care about the sin that it includes, in its entrapments, if I will say. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it, okay? Because I kinda didn't wanna make this about plastic surgery, but I kinda have to, because this is one of the things that's really plaguing us as Black women, and I'm not saying there's white women out there that's not dying from plastic surgery. I don't know if it's just me, but every time I hear a story about a woman dying from a BBL, it's always a Black or brown woman. I don't recall seeing like a widespread story about a white woman dying from a BBL or dying from plastic surgery. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat. It's always one of us. When they show you the plane full of women coming from the Dominican Republic, it's always us. It's always us. And as y'all are my sisters and cousins, my concern is for us. I hate to see a waste of life. These are mothers and daughters and sisters and cousins. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody's future grandma right here. This somebody I love myself enough to know that I don't want my story to end like that. I need you to love yourself enough to know that no matter how much plastic surgery you get, there's no guarantee that plastic surgery is going to change your life. Okay? And I know that that's the stick, right? Get the BBL, get the man you want, get the life you want cuz you fine now and nobody can tell you no and you can go out and run these niggas pockets and now you can be that chick. Now you can be that chick. And I'm just going to tell you there's no there's no promise for that. There's no you don't sign a contract when you get the BBL that, "Oh, now my life is gonna change." A lot of times, a lot of these women go right back to the same project apartments or whatever apartment or wherever they go back to the same life, 10, $20,000 less and nothing to show for it. Because if you're not already in that, you think you getting a BBL is gonna propel you to stardom, especially when so many other people have it. We're not talking about the first wave of BBLs. Okay, this been going on for a while. Baby, it's weird, but you know what's new these days? A regular body. Like that's what's unique these days. And I kind of feel like this is another problem with equality versus individuality. Um and I don't ever think that society wanted us acting as individuals. But I will say that before social media, um, it was easier to be an individual. The problem is, now we're spouting equality, equality, equality. Everybody gets the same thing. And that's not correct. That's not beneficial. That's not helpful to the person that you think you're giving it to or anyone else. If I already have if we're at school and I'm taking a test and we need number 2 pencils and I already have 2 number 2 pencils, but in the name of equality, you're gonna give everybody 2 pencils, even the people that already have them, why would you do that? You're wasting pencils. And now some people have 4 pencils when it you understand what I'm saying? You see how that's just wrong? It's not about equality. It's about equity, which means giving everyone the opportunities they individually need. The kid with 2 pencils don't need no more pencils, but the kid that doesn't have any pencils at all, they need 2 pencils. And guess what? There's a kid with 1 pencil. He only needs 1 pencil. And now everybody has the same equipment, everybody has the same opportunities, and now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with it. But in the name of equality, you just gave me 2 more pencils when I already have 2, and now I'm steps ahead of everybody else. Slight little equality rent right there. Okay. Then I'm gonna tell you something, and I know a lot of y'all might not like to hear it. And even my married women, those of y'all that are dating, you gotta love yourself before you want someone else to love you. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not coming up here and saying, "Oh, I had a perfect control of my self-esteem," and hell no. As a matter of fact, this year has been very eye-opening for me. I'm gonna say the last 2 to 3 years of my life have been very eye-opening for me. Um, as far as self-reflection. And some of the habits I have, some of the behaviors I exhibit, just some of the ways that I am. I've been kind of getting a lot of answers to those questions lately. So I don't want you to think that I'm ever, and I say this all the time, y'all. I'm not even perfect now. Like, even now, I still go through stuff. And a lot of times when I come here and talk to y'all, I'm talking to y'all about what I'm going through and what I feel like, how I feel like the Lord is leading me in that. Okay. I'm never coming from a place of, oh, I have no idea what that's like. No, baby, I know what it's like. I've been there. It's why I'm trying to tell you not to do it. Okay. So, here, what I'm saying though, you gotta at least love yourself enough to know what kind of life you want before you go out here trying to make a life with someone else. You say you want a marriage, but you don't know what you want that marriage to look like. And so you're gonna look up 2 years later. It's not gonna take 5, 10, or 20 years. You're gonna look up a year or 2 later, and you're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, this is not what I wanted." Love yourself enough to have a plan. And again, this is why you need to love the Most High first. Listen, the person that made this cup right here, oh, what is this lady's name? Not Rachel, Ray. Rachel somebody, okay? She had everybody going crazy in Target, they was always talking about it. This lady right here who made all the stuff she made this cup. Okay. And when she made this cup, she meant for it to be used the way I'm using it right now as a teacup. There's tea in here. Got a little tea bag. You know what I'm saying? My little handle so I can hold it and not get hot. This cup was made for handling hot liquids and drinking out of. If the creator of this cup wanted me to do anything else with it, it wouldn't be a cup. If I took the handle off this, now it's you know what I'm saying? You cannot understand your instructions without the creator. Maybe I should have chosen a more complex machine. We don't really need to read directions for anything these days. You just plug in a smart TV, turn it on, whatever. Okay. But my point is, you cannot know where you're going without the creator. You can't know your destiny. You can't even. What are you doing? How do you know what you're supposed to? I don't understand people that live without direction from the Lord. Where are you going and what are you doing? Do you even know? And so, if you won't plug in with the one who like God made you for a reason. And I, in our finite minds, I think it's just hard to grasp that because we've been taught, all our lives that, oh, we're an independent, autonomous person and we have rights and we can make choices in this world and all this other stuff. When the fact of the matter is, you very much have a creator who had a purpose in mind when you were created, who knew you, who had already planned out your life and your purpose before your parents even met each other. Okay. And so it's like you're just wandering around when you could just easily put the address in Google Maps. I but like people my parents' age, I love them, but they stay trying to give you directions. And make a left here. You're gonna go here. Sir, just I can put the address in the Google Map, but you still gotta listen, right? Because you don't want to be rude. But y'all are kind of like them old people, a little outdated, making things harder than it has to be. You're wandering around without a direction. We were talking yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about the Super Soaker, the original Super Soaker. And they don't sell it anymore. Like, share, subscribe, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to get that little. Seriously, like, share, subscribe at Miss Mono's World. If you guys are not subscribed to my YouTube, you can head on over there and enjoy that. Excuse me. All right, so putting this self in self-love. I'm not as ignorant to think that, anybody's gonna walk out here, or yeah, I'm not ignorant to feel like anybody should go outside and not care what people think about them. And I'm not saying that people should not adhere to certain standards of decency and order. Not gonna say that, But what I am going to say is the way that you feel about yourself should never be based on a shallow, uninformed, unbible based opinion of you. Some stranger in Kroger should not be able to tell you you got a big nose and now you're traumatized and you're walking around forever about your nose. Okay? Um but we won't listen to the opposite, right? The advice from the people who do know us, the biblical based advice. We won't listen to that. And that is what should be affecting how you feel about yourself. You know, we always so quick to test the spirit by the spirit. What about yours? What about yours? What do you mean test my spirit? Test your spirit. See what's going on with you on the inside. And this is the problem. You won't sit down enough to really think about what's going on with you on the inside. What is your body doing with what you're feeding it? The TV, the media. What is your mind doing with that? How is that being digested and regurgitated in your mind? Is it uplifting and encouraging? Is that how it's feeding you? Is your spirit man being fed? Is it giving you a deeper understanding of the Most High? Is it pulling you closer? Or are you being slowly turned away from the Most High and the things of the Lord? Excuse me, you guys. Uh-huh. Are you being constantly turned off from the things of the Lord? Are you okay, I'm gonna tell y'all. I was playing this game. I do play games. I was playing this game called Raid Shadow Legends, right? And it's art role player RPG. And the theme is a little dark. Okay. I should have known from the monsters and everything, but I was playing with my dad and my brother. And so I was playing it for a while. But then it's like it started kind of depressing me. Like the game was kind of sad. It's like I didn't really want to play it all the time. And I had to stop and check myself. Like I was using it as a way to spend time with my dad and my brother. But I had to say, like, well, how is this affecting me? How is this making me feel? And I finally had to tell him, like, y'all, we got to find something else to play. I can't deal with this. I'm very careful about that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was playing Revenge Monopoly. And in the new Monopoly, like on the phone Monopoly, you can get revenge on people when they take your properties and stuff. And it was really like thought provoking because I've been I've dealt with that spirit of vindictiveness, of wanting to get back at people. You know how it is when you feel like constantly rejected, like you want to get back at people. So I dealt with that. And all praise to the most high. I don't deal with that anymore. I'm kind of apathetic, like, okay, you know what I mean? I've been dealing with the rejection so much that it's like, okay, and you don't like me, take a number. So I don't, but I didn't want those feelings to come back. So I was even mindful while I was playing this game, like, okay, we gotta check this. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to be vindictive. I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. A lot of this stuff we watch on TV, and it's very much meant to um stimulate you sexually. I don't like watching sex on television. I don't. Straight sex, gay sex, I don't like to see it. It bothers me. Some of y'all won't be honest about that though. And no, I don't wanna watch that. I can't watch horror movies. I cannot, because I don't wanna have to sleep with the lights on for the next 2 years. Like, I already know I dealt with fear when I was younger. I had issues with fear to the point where, like, I had trouble praying, okay? I would be so scared. So I stay away from that. And I don't tell everybody this. It's not something I explain, but like when we're sitting around talking and I'm like, "No, I don't watch horror movies." I don't other people may not have that issue. Um I hate watching TV now. Yeah. Other people may not have that issue. Like a lot of people I know can watch horror movies and they claim they don't have a problem with it. But I know that I do. So that's something that I refrain from. So, but do you know what your triggers are? And listen, if y'all are dating, you need to find out what their triggers are as well. When you first meet someone, they put forth their representative. You get the customer service agent. You don't get the CEO of the building. The CEO is probably a butthole. But the customer service representative, okay, they're going to be nice. They're going to show you around. They're going to make sure you have a great time. All right. So, you got to give it time to learn a person's triggers, to learn your own triggers. You um you may have a problem with cigarettes and you might be all well and good. You might stumble across a show and here's a subliminal messaging, subliminally. You stumble across this show and the main character in the show is always smoking a cigarette. And it you might be like, it totally just goes over your head. And you've been good for months. You've been good without cigarettes. You done almost made it a year. All praise to the Most High. That is your testimony. But you start watching this show, and every episode, like every 10 minutes, the main character is lighting up. And now all of a sudden, here you are again, feeling like you just set yourself back 6 months fighting the same temptation. That's not going to be a problem for me. I never had a problem with cigarettes. I never liked them. That's not a problem for me. I could sit up and watch this all day. But once you understand that that's a problem for you have to love yourself enough to, even if it means that you separate from a group of people, to say, I can't really deal with this anymore. Like it is not. The Bible tells us to enjoy our pleasures as long as it's lawful. So you want to go to a party, you want to hang out, that's cool. But it might not be cool for everybody that's with you. Some people might be like, yo, I got to be home at 9 o'clock. I don't know what happens to me after 9 o'clock, but I just start wilding. So it's best for me to be home at 9. Then take your butt home at 9. I really can't. I know a married lady, and she told me she don't wear makeup. She doesn't wear makeup. And she like wasn't doing her hair for a long time. She just kept herself as plain as possible because she had a problem with attention from other men. And that was the most brutal honesty that I had heard in a long time, because you won't hear women confessing to stuff like that. But she knew, and she knew enough of herself. She loved herself enough to say, I want to avoid this sin. I want to avoid this temptation. So I'm just not going to do this thing. Y'all have to get to that point. We are all supposed to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Okay. I might be able to go to the beach and be happy in a one piece and a t-shirt and some shorts, covered up. You might not be able to do that. Going to the beach may make you want to be a little naked, and that's not lawful. So the best thing for you to do is not go to the beach, boo boo. You better fill up that bathtub and swim around. It is what it is. And I know that might sound funny to you, but these are real things that people deal with. This is stuff that people really deal with. And you have to love yourself enough to know what that is for you. Some people have problems with drugs. Some people have problems selling drugs. I probably wouldn't sit around and watch shows like Power and Snowfall and whatever else. It might trigger you to go back into that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to what you're taking in and how it's affecting you. And if it's affecting you negatively, if it's pulling you away from the Most High, if it's a stumbling block and you keeping His laws, then you got to put that thing down and you got to love yourself enough to stay away from it. I know it's hard. And it's not, it seems like it's not fair, especially when you may feel like certain things aren't your fault. Like, well, this happened to me. I didn't do this to myself. I didn't ask to be abused. I didn't ask to be molested. I didn't ask to be raped. I didn't ask to be pimped. I didn't ask for this stuff to happen to me. It happened to me. Someone did this to me. Why am I still paying for it? Why am I still traumatized while the person who did this to me seems to be walking around unharmed by this? Why is that fair? Life is not fair. So stop asking that question. You can either take the role of pity. Okay, you can wallow in your pity. You can continue with that same thought process, or you can realize all things work for the glory. All things work for the good who love him and are called according to his purpose. Everything, and this isn't in the Bible, but everything happens for a reason. If you So here's where the maturity and the self-love comes in, right? Why did this happen to me? What was the reason for this? Um, oh, Nikki Nicole, shalom. Hey. It's not always gonna be about you. A lot of the things that happen to you are rarely about you. Um, Things that people do to you, things that people say to you are rarely about you. A lot of time it's them responding to something internally and you just happen to be there. A lot of times our parents have not dealt with their past traumas and their past issues, and us in our childhood may trigger some of those memories for them. Um And unfortunately, a lot of times they misdirect their anger, they misdirect their low self-esteem, they misdirect their feelings of inadequacy towards their children. All right. 30, 40 years ago, we were those children. So now, okay, I'll talk about myself. Now, am I supposed to just sit around like, "Oh, well, this happened to me. Um, what good am I?" I didn't feel validated. Um, my mom's said things, done things. If the person who brought me into this world doesn't think enough of me, what am I? What is there to think of if the person who's supposed to love me the most doesn't even think of me? And you know, without prayer, without self reflection, um, it can be a recipe for disaster, right? Because again, I could wallow in that. You could wallow in your stuff and you be legit. Like, that's a legit thing. You have legit feelings, very real feelings. And no one is going to tell you that no one should be telling you that you are not entitled to your feelings. You are very much entitled to feel the way you feel about the things that have happened to you. But look at the really look at the people who've done the things. Look at their life. Look at the lives of the people around them. You have to decide in your mind that you don't want to repeat that behavior. More importantly, I don't want to hurt the people around me because I didn't deal with my own pain. I don't want to hurt my children. I don't want to hurt my husband. I don't want to hurt people. There's no need for me to bleed all over everyone else when the Lord told me to cast my cares upon him. There's no reason for me to take out all my pain and my hurt. There's no reason to. And also, on the other hand, there's no reason for you to allow that to determine not just the rest of your life, but the life of the next generation as well. Because if I continue on this same pattern of behavior that's been shown to me, I am dooming the next generation to repeat the mistakes that I have made and the mistakes that those before me have made. But if I love myself, if I trust in God, why would I not, with his help, do what I have to do to not repeat that pattern of behavior and therefore not send my children down that same potential path of traps and plots? I know how not being validated made me feel, and I know I don't want to pass that feeling on to my children. So I'm going to validate the hell out of them. Yes, you're wonderful. You are so smart and amazing. Even when they're wrong, that's okay. We're going to fix this. It's never, "You're so stupid. Why can't you figure that out? You should know how to do this already." And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my husband had to teach me that. Even though I had 3 kids before him, my husband had to sit me down and be like, "Hey girl, these is babies. They don't know nothing." And you right, that's weird. Or it was weird to me after I started to grasp it. It was weird that I had to be told that because, like, I'm a kid and I had kids before, and it scared the hell out of me because it's like, oh my god, what did I do to my daughters? Like, was I repeating the same pattern of behavior on them? I can't go back and change the things that I did wrong, but I can validate their feelings and I can sit with them and talk about it. And I love myself enough to put my feelings on the back burner, to lay myself open, even in front of my children, to help them to do better. Yes, I'm about to cry because I'm talking about my kids. um, to talk to them and to hear them say, Mom, when you did A, B, and C, it made me feel D, E, and F. And I don't know how many of you have the same story, right? But like having those conversations with my mother was never productive. I'm about to hit y'all with the triangle because I don't want to mess up my makeup. um, those conversations were never productive because it was always, I didn't do that. You're crazy. You're making that up. You're lying. That never happened. And I know how it made me feel. So when my daughters came and even now, if they come and they tell me something, I'm never going to be like, I never said that. I never did that. No, even if I don't remember, you know what, baby? I'm sorry that I ever said that to you. I'm sorry that I ever did that to you. I don't feel that way about you. I must have been going through something that was terrible of me. I'm so sorry. I can't go back and correct the thing that I did wrong. I can't take back the thing that I said wrong, but I can validate you so that you know that, listen, if anybody ever makes you feel that way again, you're not wrong for walking away. And this is the thing that like we don't get when we talk about self-love. We don't get that it means loving yourself enough to walk away from the things that will hurt you, harm you, potentially kill you. Whether it be a clear and present danger like an abusive relationship or something with a high amount of danger like cosmetic surgery. Okay. And even before we get to the whole surgery thing, you got women out here getting Botox and fillers. Do you understand that Botox is botulism toxin? It's the stuff that people would die from when they left food in a can too long. Like it's an actual poison that you're injecting into your body for what? Bigger lips and fuller cheekbones? In the age of lip plumpers that you can go to Walmart and buy and rub on your lips, why you choose to inject yourself with poison is beyond me. It's beyond me. Even when I've seen it done. Okay, I work for an oral facial surgeon, and I've seen it done. I've seen the Botox done. I've seen they call it a blepharoplasty. So sometimes people will have this area under their eyes kind of cut out to get rid of bags and stuff. They can do it on the upper. I've seen cosmetic surgeries done. That was enough for me to decide that I don't need that. I don't need it. I don't I don't like pain. I don't like to hurt myself. And again, I'm not putting myself in a position for someone else to be in control of my bodily functions when my brain stem has been working just fine. All praise to the Most High for these past 42 years. Like if it's not a life or death situation, no, ma'am, sis cousin, you're not putting me to sleep. I love myself too much to go through that. And you know, a lot of us may look for self-love in different things, right? You may start a great new career, you may be working on your degree, you may have just gotten married, you may have just had a baby. And these are all opportunities that we as people like to take as, "Oh, this is a fresh start for me. I'm going to start all over." But if you don't deal with the things of the past, there's no starting over. I'm just going to tell you that. There's no starting over. Just like we love to talk about having boundaries for the people in our life and boundaries for our friends and family. You need to make boundaries for your own self. You need to have boundaries for your own self. You need to decide, okay, I'm going to live this way. I'm not going to live this way. I'm going to continue this behavior. I'm not going to continue this behavior. And just as strict as you are with them boundaries with your friends and your family, you need to be just as strict with yourself. We got all the smoke for everybody else, but none for ourselves. I don't, and this is another thing that I hate that we don't focus on, or that we're not fully taught in the Bible. Like, you are flesh and spirit and soul. There's three components. Your spirit man is supposed to keep all that in check. So when your spirit man is telling you that something is off, you need to take heed to that, because your flesh is never going to tell you something wrong unless something is actually physically wrong in that moment. If you're in pain, something's hurting on the inside, somebody hitting you, punching you, burning you, stabbing you, ow, now it's a problem. But while we're in sin and while it's feeling good at the moment, your flesh is never going to say, hey, girl, we need to stop. No, that's your spirit man crying out, please, I don't want to go to hell. Like that. I'm not sure that's what he's saying, but you understand what I'm saying? That's the part of you that's crying out. That's the part of you that's like, this don't feel right. I don't think we should be doing this. We got to learn. Listen, God disciplines you because he loves you. So why don't you follow that model and apply some discipline to yourself? Why won't you? Your creator disciplined you. The one who made you discipline you because he loves you. Thank you, sis. Because he loves you. Because he wants to keep. Why do you discipline your children? Because you want to keep them safe. I always tell my kids, don't. I put my kids out the kitchen. If the stove is on, if I'm cooking on top of the stove, everybody out the kitchen. My uncle was a firefighter, and I heard too many horrible stories, so I don't even play like that. Get out. So if I walk in the kitchen and I see my 7-year-old standing in front of the stove, I'm going to discipline him, because I don't look. I already told you once, okay? I don't want you to burn yourself, hurt yourself, God forbid anything worse. So I need you to understand why this is important. So now I gotta put the smack down. Again, we got all the smoke for everybody else. We got all the smoke for our kids. We got all the smoke for our spouse. Where's the smoke for yourself? You want to keep it real and be loud and upfront and keep it 100 with everybody else. Where is that for you? Where is that for you, the person who needs it the most? Because how are you trying to put anything in order if you not? How are you trying to? The Bible says that a man's home should be in order before he tries to minister to anyone else. The calls need to be coming from inside the house. Okay. Somebody shouldn't have to call you from outside. Your neighbor should not have to call you, your kids, your husband. No one. The call need to be coming from inside the house. Hello, Rayshannette. Hello, how are you? We need to talk. But y'all know there's no way we're going to. This is the homework. This is the work. This is nobody. They want to, oh, do the work. Well, what the hell is the work, lady? The work is not paying a therapist $100 an hour. The work is not standing in front of the mirror and saying some quote. The work is not even you standing in the mirror and making all these I am statements. The work is silencing yourself before the Most High and talking to Him and working on what you need to change. working on becoming consistent in your prayer life, working on being consistent and unconditional in your obedience. This is the work. And I promise you, in working these things out, you will be, the Lord will begin to show you things about yourself. Some stuff is going to be just like that, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. And then you're done with it. Other things, it's going to take a while for you to get over. Even Paul had a thorn in his side. And no matter how hard he tried, he could not get rid of it. I'm not saying that, oh, you're gonna wake up tomorrow and everything's gonna be wonderful and perfect. No, no. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that. But what I am gonna tell you is every day that you put off correcting yourself, the children of Israel, our great great grandparents, y'all's great great grandparents that was chilling and then we left Egypt, right? And it was only supposed to be a 40-day journey, and it ended up taking 40 days. Ended up being years because of disobedience. I had a person say, they took that analogy and they said that for every, I think they tried to say like for every year you were being disobedient, that God was going to make you pay for 10 years or something like that. First of all, I would never say that because where is that in the Bible? And you just don't tell people something like that. It's like, well, damn, why even try? Like, if I know I'm gonna be suffering for the next 50 years, why even try? So I would not say anything like that. But what I will say is, just like anything else, every day you put off getting it done is a day that you are missing getting closer to your goal. And you may actually be pushing yourself further away from it. You know, well, what goal? Isn't the kingdom the goal? Yes, the kingdom is a goal. But also, ma'am, sis, cousin, you're responsible for doing work here on this earth. You run into people every day who you don't minister to, who you don't witness to, who need you, who may be asking you questions, but you're not even equipped to give a general summary of the Bible, of any, pertinent verses of anything that they may need. You're not even equipped to do that. You are neglecting the goal here on earth. And so you're just floating, waiting to die? Is that what you're doing? Because that's what it sounds like. When the fact of the matter is you have people here who you've ignored and their blood is on your hands. Okay? There are souls right around you that need to see a living example, that need to hear, that need to have a place to go get knowledge and wisdom. And you refuse to be that because you don't love yourself enough to believe that the most high invested as much in you as he has. Do y'all think that it's easy for me to sit behind this microphone and say these things and talk like this? No, it's not easy. There are times when I even question myself, like, why me? Lord, what's who am I? Why should these people listen to me? No, we really had these conversations. And I'd be like, God, why me? It's not for me to understand why. It's just for me to understand that this is what he told me to do. And I must be good enough. And it's for you to get that same, whatever area you are sufficient in. However your ministry chooses to unfold. Some of you, Angelina, I see you sewing on IG and it is amazing. That may be the door for your ministry. My sister Nikki Nicole, she does balloons. She about to start doing balloon arches on social media and showing y'all how to do this stuff. That may be her door to ministry. But if you don't love yourself, if you're not in tune with the most high enough, to get that guidance and get that direction and be inspired, then you'll just sit there and let your gifts and talents go to waste and basically be waiting to die. Your purpose is not just to get to heaven. We got to come out of that slavery religion that, oh, we're just here to toil and work and then die and then we get to have a good life and go to heaven. No. That is no. That is what master told you to keep you in line while you was here on earth. But we're not. No, we're not. No. That's not true. It's not beneficial. And it's not the direction you should be going in. Okay, let's see what my sis said. Thank you, sissy. And the Most High teaching me to be modest is why I started sewing. All praises to the Most High. You, I'm not gonna lie. Like growing up, people will always say, "Oh, you gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself." And I'm like, "Well, how do you do that?" That was always my question. I would ask, how do I love myself? And the questions were always about reacting to other people. If you love yourself, you wouldn't let him do that to you. If you love yourself, you wouldn't let this happen. If you love your well, teach me how to love myself so I can know how not to let this stuff happen. I Nobody can teach you to love yourself because nobody knows you like God. Nobody knows you like your creator. There are things about your personality, no matter how old you are, that you don't know yet. You may have an interest. You may like graffiti, okay? But you don't know that because you haven't taken an art class. You know what I'm saying? It's so much stuff that when I went to college and took extracurricular classes that I formed an interest in. I love art because of my art appreciation class and my teacher. She was so like cool. She just made it fun. I like art now. I enjoy the works of Banksy. I will walk through a museum and see the old masters. Um, and so I'm just saying that to say nobody knows all of everything that's inside of you. Only the Most High. Only He knows. So only He can prepare you for that. Um, let's see this comment. I honestly didn't love myself until I got closer to the Most High. He showed me we are His daughters. Exactly. And I'll tell you, like that, once you accept that you are directly a child of the Most High, that to me, that was like the biggest boost. It was like, oh, no, you mean I count? Because I mean, as a black person in Americanized Christianity, where is our self-esteem built? Where? Yeah, you might be looking at a black pastor and everybody around you might be black, but y'all worshiping a white person. You're worshiping a white Jesus. You're told that, oh, God loves everyone, and even you lowly, dirty sinner, God loves you too. When the fact of the matter is, hold the phone, buddy. It ain't a God loves me too, my nigga. I'm the original. Okay. I am the original. It's not, no, I see they make you feel like, oh, you should just be so happy to be accepted and you should just be happy to be. When the truth is like, nah, bro, this is mine. And y'all stole this from me. This was mine to begin with. And here we are, right? Repenting for our sins and the sins of our forefathers. But for those of us who know what's up, you know, in this moment, like looking back, Black church is not helpful for the Black woman's self-esteem at all. It's not helpful for self-love. And I'm going to tell you why it's not helpful for self-love, because there's no impetus for real growth. For real growth. They sit there and they emotionalize you every week. And it's always give your money, give your time, give this, give that. There's never a valid. What are you being fed? What are you being fed besides a bunch of empty hopes and dreams? And I'm not saying this about every ministry and every church, but ma'am, sis, cousin, if they're not teaching you to keep the law, but they are telling you that, oh, if you give, you'll be blessed. Facts. I felt like I was only good enough to work a 9 to 5 to get by for my child. Never saw myself as anything more. So glad that that is not your testimony anymore. And you know, I only got a few minutes left, so I'm about to wrap it up. But seriously, like even this whole goddess talk. You know, we talked a few weeks about how this spirit of ocean and this divine feminine is just really running rampant through Black women these days. But even when you listen to them talk, first of all, the goddesses that they look up to, they all had tragic endings. No one is saying, oh, they're still alive today. No, these biatches all had tragic endings. Why would I want to worship something like that? And so, even with that, the remedy that these divine, you know, feminine gurus or whatever are handing out is self-reliance. You know, it's all about you. It's about what you want. You need to center on yourself. I can't even keep myself alive. I do not have the power in me to keep myself alive. If the Most High decided it's time to punch my ticket, I'm out of here. There's nothing I can do about it. No matter how much I stand here and manifest and say, or how many cards I pull, or how many lines you would, none of that is going to change what God has already ordained. And therefore, it should be obvious that the answer is not inside of yourself. And you know, that's the thing. Oh, you have everything you need inside of you to succeed. Not if the Most High don't pull it out. Not. You're going to the library without. You're trying to find a book in the library without using the Dewey Decimal System. I know y'all know what the Dewey Decimal System is. I know y'all been to the library. Don't do me like that. Okay. When you go to the library, on the binding of the book, on the side is a little label with numbers and initials. And it tells you in the library what section it goes in, and author's name. All right. This is how you find books in the library. It's called the Dewey Decimal System. There used to be a card catalog. You would go to the library and go to the letter of the author's last name. Like, if his last name started with an A, you would pull out the A drawer and you would look through there until you found like the section and all the other stuff, and then you would be able to go find your book, right? But a lot of y'all are going through the card catalogs of yourself, trying to find the love, the encouragement, the confidence. You're just trying to find the things that you have been told that you have inside yourself to make it happen. And honey, you're going to waste so much time. When all you got to do is go to the Lord, pull out the card catalog. You're wasting time. You're wasting time. You're putting yourself in dangerous situations. You're misleading yourself and your family because, yeah, that pippity pop, bebop, new age, blue blop, I got it all inside of me crap. Yeah, it works for a while, maybe, maybe. But while you're feeling strong in it, you're out here misleading other people in it as well. And listen to me. When these things don't work out for you, it is not because God does not love you. It is not because God is rejecting you. It is because he wants you to depend on him and him alone. It is because he had the best intentions for you. All right. He meant, listen, you leave the tarot cards, you leave that new ageism, the Buddhism, the chakras, you leave that to the heathen. You leave that crap to them. The best that the Most High has to offer is what he meant for you to have. You trying to stay in the remedial class and he trying to move you up to the AP. I know you may feel like you can't handle the AP. Okay. But if he's trying to get you there, it's because that's where you belong. You trying to force yourself on Spirit, but baby, he's trying to put you on the freaking Emeritus airline, okay? Where every chair you can lay back. You keep wanting to sell yourself short to appease to this world. And he's telling you, no, I have more for you. I have another level of living for you. This is not meant for you. This is why a lot of y'all find yourselves in marriages today that you are trying everything you can think. You praying to the Lord, please take this man out. Please call him home. Please, Lord, I can't stand this nigga. I'll be happy when he leaves. That's why a lot of y'all in them same marriages today trying to make your way through the library without their freaking card catalog, trying to work it out on your own. And you wind up with a person like, who said this? Was it Chris Rock? I think we was watching Chris Rock yesterday, and he was saying how you married the person at the level that you were supposed to pass. All right. My first job was at Miss Winters, and the manager like had such a crush on me, like was in love with me. I could have stayed with him and married him, but my goodness, I didn't want that kind of life. And you know what I mean? I would be horrified if I had did that. Just horrified. But all praises to the Most High, I didn't. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Hook up with the Most High. Get him to put the direction in your life. And then you won't make these mistakes making temporary people, trying to make permanent situations with temporary people, if you understand what I'm saying. Shalom and shalom. The nephews are here. Say hey, guys.
Hi.
Paxton and Atticus. Sit up, Atticus. I'm just going to run through our sponsors real quick. Do you guys know who my sponsors are? No? Can you tell everybody about the print doctors?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know what a print doctor is? That's the t-shirts.
I know what that is.
What's the print doctors?
The t-shirt.
The t-shirt, okay. The Print Doctors is our t-shirt printing company. They're one of the sponsors of Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass, along with top tier parties serving the metro Atlanta area for all your bouncy house and party needs. We got tables and chairs. Miss Angelina said, hey, nephews.
Hi.
Oh, don't forget about Mono's Westside Bullies. Matter of fact, we have a litter about to drop from one of our prettiest mamas, Zelda. So we will be posting that. Please keep your eye out for that if you feel led. And I want to send a big thank you to everyone who has given to the House of Mono, Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass, the podcast. I want to thank you very much. I appreciate every donation, every gift. You guys are awesome. Please understand that, we're not taking that money and putting it in our pockets. That money is going to improve what we got going on here. We need a new camera. You know what I'm saying? saving up for that,
We need a new
but
camera.
I don't want to keep taking money from other areas and putting it in here. Like I need this to start monetizing so we can keep expanding it. So, if you are not subscribed to the YouTube at Miss Mono's World, please head over and subscribe to the YouTube. What? You want some tea? Okay. Subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when I go live. If you're not following the head of the household, please give a follow to at Monologue McGad. He's on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube as well. Paxton is losing his baby. I don't either, girl. How did you know? I know. Look at him. He's starting to look like a baby. Come here, Atticus. We didn't even show everybody. Smile. Smile like this. Wait, where is it? Atticus lost his first tooth, you guys. I was crying yesterday. I was such a mess. I'm not ready. My baby's can't control us. Continue to pray for me, please. Let's see. Did we run through all the sponsors? I think we did. Don't forget to download the Nasaya TV app, y'all. Shout out to my audience on Nasaya TV. You can download that on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, all your smart TVs. Download the Nasaya TV app. Don't forget to follow at Miss. Not Xfinity, Nasaya TV. Nasaya TV. Download the Nasaya TV app. We're about to go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope something I said was helpful to you on today or tomorrow, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. I love you so much. What do you have to say? Anything? Paxton. Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord. We love you so much. I will see you guys on the socials. I'm gonna get back to my content. I promise. I love y'all so much. Shalom. Good night.